I have completed Project Hail Mary. This book was so much fun, and I would recommend it for some of you. A big thought I was thinking throughout reading this book is, oh my goodness, I love this. I know exactly who I wouldn't recommend this book to, which is a funny way to be processing this book while reading it. I genuinely had so much fun with this book. Let's get into a spoiler-free review for who I think should read this book and why it was so wonderful, why I loved it, and why some of you might not be the right audience for Project Hail Mary. Let's get into it. This book is written by Andy Weir, who is the same author of The Martian, which also had a movie, and I did see that movie, but I have not read that book, and I can guarantee that after reading this book, I am 100% going to be reading The Martian. I'm so excited for that one as well. I vaguely remember the movie, so it should be a fun ride for the book. I also know that Project Hail Mary is getting a movie adaptation, and it's coming out very soon in March. I think at the end of March, like the 30th. This is coming out in theaters with Ryan Gosling playing the main character in this book, and I'm so excited to see the retelling of this story through the medium of a movie. So I'm really thrilled for that. As a book, though, I would rate this book as a 5-star read. I absolutely loved Project Hail Mary. This was such a good ride. It has no spice, which is great. It's a sci-fi book, and it is also very much a comedy. This is a hilarious book. I spent so much of this story laughing extremely hard, like literally nearly to tears laughing. This is my type of comedy, and I very much enjoyed it. So I definitely would say this is equal parts science fiction as well as a comedy read. So entertaining. I loved it. I will say that comedy element definitely makes me feel like the Ryan Gosling pick for the main character is a great pick because he's such a funny actor. While I was reading this book, even though I knew Ryan Gosling was going to play the main character, I could never picture the main character as Ryan Gosling. Personally, this character in my mind is a very short dork and a nerd, and I adore him. I'm really excited to see Ryan Gosling play this character, but it was kind of funny to me that I just could not picture him while reading this book. But I think Ryan Gosling has the right comedy for what this book definitely entails on the humor side. So that's exciting. I also really loved that the end of basically every chapter is a really funny, just declarative sentence. There's just a simple, straightforward sentence at the end of each chapter that just is like a punch. And it gets you so excited about reading the next chapter. It kind of ends in like cliffhanger, but it's an interesting way to do a cliffhanger. It would be like if you had a like mystery murder book, which is not this, but if you did have a mystery murder book and like the end of chapter 1 is he murdered his wife, period. And you're just like, and you're like, you come to that conclusion at the same time the main character comes to the conclusion. So like then the end of chapter 2 would be like, his wife was sleeping with his mother-in-law. But like it's just a declarative sentence. It's just like a period, boom, like that's a sentence. And you come to the conclusion at the same time the main character is. And you just end going, oh my gosh, that did happen, or whatever the like conclusion that the character has come to, you realize for yourself, yeah, that's correct. That's the conclusion. Oh my gosh. That happened with so many chapters in this book. It just, every chapter would end with a very, very simple declarative statement that was just like, whoa. And it was just like a punch. And it was so interesting and really kept me in this book and excited to continue to read the chapters. I will say the chapters are long. There's like 30 maybe chapters in a book that's over 470 pages long. So the chapters are long. Now, the chapters do have little breaks that look like, I don't want you to read this, I don't want to spoil you, but these little breaks in the chapters, which help with like taking pauses if you need them while reading like a chapter that's 20, 30 pages long. So that helps because the chapters are long, but it is such a fun read. I also just really adore the emotion in this book. Like I said, it is absolutely a comedy, but there are such heart-wrenching emotional moments that just make me ache. And by the end, I loved the ending of this book so much. I cannot preface, like, I spent most of this book being like, it's a 4.8, 4.9 stars, but the ending, the last 100 pages, I was like, nope, it's a 5-star read. Like, that ending just, oh, it ripped me apart. Like, I loved it so much. It was perfect. And I was like, I'm gonna cry. Oh my gosh. And honestly, it makes me want to reread this immediately. I am going to spend the next 2 hours tonight, even though it's literally like 11 o'clock at night. I'm totally going to reread all of my favorite parts in this book tonight because, oh my gosh, this was amazing. So those were my favorite parts. My biggest critique, I would say, is sometimes the way that the science is portrayed just goes a little bit further, or the discussion about the science is long enough that my attention falls away very briefly for just like a page or two. It happened a couple times in the book, not very frequently at all. I snapped right out of it very quickly, but that did happen. So that was originally why I was lowering it down a little bit under 5 stars. But then again, that ending, guys. So that would be one critique that I had for this book. I do think it's really important to note that one of the things that really hit me with this book is a reminder that there's different types of science fiction. So I just finished Brandon Sanderson's Tailored Realities. That was my previous book. This is sci-fi, but this is sci-fi fantasy. And a lot of the stories in this book are kind of like tech fantasy, really. Like if you had a really cool technology, here's the fantasy story that would come out of it, right? It's more like a tech sci-fi fantasy vibe, if that makes sense, versus Project Hail Mary, which is sciencey science fiction. I mean, we talk about so much in science in this book. Physics, chemistry, biology. We talk about mitochondria. We talk about cell walls. We talk about acceleration. We talk about centrifugal force. We talk about mass and how to calculate it. We talk about the speed of light quite a few times. We talk about biomes and relativity and so many sciencey things, chemicals, oxygen, nitrogen, like so many sciencey, science heavy topics. And really it's more like this is the physics, chemistry, and biology of our world, and here's this added thing that's different. So that's this kind of sci-fi. And that really attaches to who I would recommend this for and who I wouldn't recommend this book for. I think anybody who absolutely loves science will eat this up. Eat this up so much. It'll be a 5-6 star read for people who absolutely love science. And I'm definitely one of those people. I'm the type of person who, back in high school, I took honors physics. I really wish I had taken AP physics because I loved physics. It was one of those classes where I'd been in all my honors and AP classes throughout the day, and physics was my last class. And I would walk into class and I'd have a headache because I was tired, and my headache would go away because of physics, because my teacher would talk about physics and it just made sense to me. Everything she said just was clear and I understood what she meant and what she was talking about, and physics literally was enjoyable for me in high school. If you're like that, you will eat this up. It will be amazing. But I'm also aware that's a lot of people aren't like that. If you think back to the science classes that you've had and you liked them, or even honestly just thought that they were fine, you'll have a good time with this book, and you can totally read this book and I think you'll like it. Genuinely, you don't have to be an insane lover of science to enjoy this book. It's also something where so much is explained, and very well in my opinion, that you don't really need to understand physics, chemistry, biology very, very well to pick this up. Not at all. You'll be totally fine if you're like, well, I remembered those classes, but I don't remember what I learned in them. I wasn't traumatized by them, but I didn't retain anything. That's okay. Like, it'll be a fun little science exploration. It's very digestible, in my opinion, in that way. So you don't need to be a master at any of the sciences to enjoy this book. But I will say, I do know that some people had a really hard time in science classes when they were in school. My mother was one of those people. And I don't think this book will be enjoyable. If you look back at your science classes and you're genuinely like, ugh, I would rather never think about that again. If you're like, oh, I think I'm subtly traumatized by the science classes I had before. If there's any part of you that dislikes scienciness, there's going to be too much in this book for you. Straight up. That's what I think. There'll be too much science in this book for you to enjoy it. There's going to be too many parts you're going to want to skim and skip over. Maybe you can and still enjoy the comedy. That's an option. But this is very science heavy. It just is. And it's really fun and enjoyable in that way. I love that element of this book. It made it really fun for me. But I also absolutely love science. It's so, so fun for me, but not for everybody. So just do a little self-reflection. Are you somebody who likes science? Are you somebody who's like good with it? Like, it's fine. It's no big deal. If you're like, yeah, it's cool. It's not my thing, but it's not bad, you'll enjoy this book. But if you hated science in school, and if people bring up sciencey things and you're like, ugh, if that's your visceral reaction, don't read it. Just don't read it. I just don't think you need to. I think you could probably just go enjoy the movie in 2 months if it's good. I'm hopeful that it'll be great. I'm really excited to see it. And I definitely will be doing a book movie comparison. But really self-analyze, like, are you good with science? If the answer is yes, read it. If you're even okay with science, read this. But I know that my mom, she probably shouldn't read this book. I know my youngest brother probably shouldn't read this book either. One of my favorite books is a 6-star read. It's called Speaker for the Dead. It is the second book in the Ender's Saga series. Honestly, with that series, I just read 3 books, Ender's Game, Speaker for the Dead, and Ender's Shadow, and I was happy with that, and I don't think I need to do any more. But Speaker for the Dead, honestly, was a 6-star read for me. I loved this book. I ate it up so much, and I loved the science. This is another super science-heavy sci-fi book. And I gave it to my youngest brother to read, and he was like, this is too much science. And he DNF'd it. And my first thought was, how could you possibly DNF a 6-star read? But that's the thing about being book readers. We all have different preferences, which is a good thing. We have different likes and we have different genres we gravitate towards. It's good. It's wonderful. Diversity in book reading and book readers is a beautiful thing. Diversity in books is a beautiful thing. So, do I think that Project Hail Mary is a 5-star read? Absolutely. Do I think that my mother and my youngest brother would DNF this book? Yeah, I do. I do. So self-analyze, figure out who am I, who are you, and whether or not this jives with who you are as a reader. And if it does, if how I've described it feels like it will, you'll have a great time. You'll have such a good time. Such a good book. I really genuinely enjoyed this. Okay, so now that Project Hail Mary is done, I'm going back to Brandon Sanderson and I'm going to be reading the Mistborn trilogy. I'm heading into the Cosmere. I am so excited, and I'm starting with Mistborn Era 1 with the first book, Final Empire, Mistborn. So excited for this book. Just like, this is going to be really exciting. However, real fast before that, I am going to read a short story in Fairies Never Lie. This apparently contains a short story by Holly Black, and this short story is apparently related to the Cruel Prince series. Did not know that when I made this surprisingly very popular video. So I'm going to read that short story. I'm going to tell you very soon if I would include this as a Cruel Prince short story and where I would put it. But that'll be real fast. It's just a little snippet because I think it's like 20 pages. It's a very short story. Yeah, it's like 26 pages. It's really short. So that'll be a really fast thing, and I'll post that. Before I do that, though, I do have a bunch of really funny quotes that I want to share from Project Hail Mary. They're going to be spoiler-free, so I'm sorry if you don't get the comedy in them. I think they're super funny, but I did share them with some of my younger siblings who just looked at me like I was crazy. And that sometimes happens, so, but I'll share them with you. That'll be my next post. Then a quick jump over into one of the short stories of this one, and then we're in the Cosmere, baby. I'm so excited! Lastly, I did want to share, I got another soapbox gift right here from my sister, and I think it's so cute. So I will also be making a video for the fact that I have more soapbox merch because, my account's called My Book Soapbox. And I have a feeling some of you might not know what I mean by that, My Book Soapbox, and what a soapbox actually is. So I will be reintroducing my platform shortly so that you know what exactly that means. But I am excited to welcome another tiny soapbox along with a little megaphone to promote read this book if you want. Oh, it's so cute, but it's falling. Okay, so that's Project Hail Mary. I hope this was an informative review and helped guide you to decide whether or not to read this book. If you are reading this book, you got 2 months until the movie comes out. So maybe hop on it and get this done before then so that you can really enjoy both. Keep reading what you love, and I will see you next time.